Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents The Corner Bookstore, hosted by Red.Olaughlin. Step into a world where every story inspires. These pages come to life through the voices of authors from around the globe. Written by our global community of TV show hosts and best-selling authors, these works span genres, generations, and geographies, united by the power of storytelling. Discover your next favorite book and meet the minds behind the work. Thursdays, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Howdy, red.Olaughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. This is my first show today. I do 3 back-to-back-to-back. My next one is called The Wise Ones, and then my following one is Talking Heads. And today I'll be talking about hormone optimization after 50 years of age. But let's get back to the Corner Bookstore. When I'm not doing TV hosting, I am also a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. That's my real passion. I delve into that literally daily. I just love getting into the details of everything. And yes, I do use AI a lot, but I also have about a 2-page prompt that tells AI everything it needs to know, and then I do a double check on all the answers I get back. But it's an interesting field. But I've written several books. I publish books, probably published about 50 of them, I guess. And when I'm not doing that, I'm here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And today my guest is an author, what do you call it? Cozy mysteries, historical fiction. She's Finnish Canadian. And Liisa Kovala, please join me up here on stage.
Hi, good morning.
Howdy, good to see you again.
You too.
We just met backstage for the first time. It just seemed like we'd known each other a while.
Exactly.
Okay, let's start out. 25 years in high school as a creative writing instructor, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get involved in that, and how did that evolve?
Yeah, so I studied English in university, and everyone says, "What are you going to do with that? And are you going to be a teacher?" I said, "No," and that's exactly what I did. So I went ahead and became an English teacher, creative writing teacher, and AP research teacher. And actually, it taught me a lot of great skills that I'm using now in my sort of post teaching career.
That's interesting. Before COVID, I used to have people come over to the house to do my final book review, proofing, editing, etc. And I had one guy, he started circling ifs, IF, and he says, you'd be really much better off using the word when. And So I did a quick search. I had 86 ifs or something like that. And I changed, I think, 82 of them to win. And it's something in English, we don't really think much about that when we're writing, but when we become writers, now it's a different set of eyes looking at what we have. And so it's an interesting evolution from knowing English to teaching English, then to being a writer. And there's just lots of transitions there that most of the people, I'm going to say literally everybody, every author I've had on here says they've had editors that they have learned a world of experience from because of whatever experience that author has in location, people, transition. It doesn't matter. Just there's lots of stuff there.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. You know, you need fresh eyes on your page. You need somebody that's not super close to it that can see the things that you don't see as an author anymore, right? You can read your book over and over and look for all the things, but somebody else's eyes are going to pick up like that if and when situation or other things that you've done that aren't working. So editors are like gold. I love them.
I noticed how you covered both bases, if and when.
Yeah, exactly.
I go through a lot of that. And I read it. I know it's there. My brain already has it. Whatever I read, my brain has already read. But if I put it up there and listen to it at the same time I'm reading it, that makes a difference.
Yeah, that's a really great strategy, actually. And I always suggest writers put that read aloud feature on their writing, and they can really hear when there's something going on that's not quite right. Like our ear will pick it up when our brain will just gloss over it. So that's a really great strategy for writers.
Yeah, another strategy I also use is to tell AI proof it for a 7th grade level education reader.
Yes.
Because sometimes I write a lot of technical stuff and I need to have it toned down a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I can't tell it to edit because it has a mind of its own. I have a paragraph that says, this is what I want you to do to edit. But to proofread, it's a pretty decent prompt on the AI. But
yeah.
When did you start writing?
So I started writing as a little kid. I think I wrote my first poem. I don't know, was I 5 or 6? I was always writing. And before I was writing, I was drawing pictures and telling stories about the pictures. So I was always a storyteller, but I didn't get really serious about it until I was 40, when my mom came to me and said, somebody wants to write your father's story. And I told them my daughter's going to do that. Okay. So that was a clue to me that it was time to work on a project that was sort of in the back of my mind for probably 2 decades. And we did it. He was 84 at the time, and we wrote his book called Surviving Stutthof. So that was when I really got serious about writing.
Okay, so that was a little while ago. He was 84. That means he was in World War II?
Yeah, he was 16. He was a Finnish merchant marine sailor. His ship was captured by the Nazis in Poland, and they were sent to Stutthof concentration camp. So actually, there were 4 Finnish ships, all merchant marines. And so, I was the youngest of 4 kids. They had me fairly late in life. And so I was 40, he was 84. And I'm really glad that he agreed to do this project because, as we know, when we don't ask those questions of our parents, the stories go. And the only way to capture them is to ask questions, and sometimes really difficult questions that can be difficult for them to answer. But he was ready and he was willing, and it took some time to kind of warm up to it. He talked a lot about living in Finland during as a child, living in Canada after the war. And it took many months before he actually entered the death gates and showed me what was inside. But we got there eventually.
What's the name of the book in case anybody else wants to read it?
Yeah, that one's called Surviving Stutthof, My Father's Memories Behind the Death Gate. And it was, deeply personal. And also, no matter how many books I write in my entire life, this is the most important book I will ever write. It just will be.
Well, I noticed the people from World War II, if you ask them a question, they will give you an answer.
Yes.
Generally speaking.
Yes.
I was in Vietnam, and when I ask other people, depending on what's going on, some of them don't want to talk about it. Absolutely. And you kind of get that just from body language more so than anything else.
Yes.
And so it's kind of a different perspective there.
Yeah, sure.
But World War II, it was such a massive event across the entire world. Vietnam, Korea, others, they're more localized, even though they go on for a long time. But
yeah.
Anyway, getting back to Liisa, the author, Okay, so you wrote a memoir. You also have written some historical fiction. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first historical novel I wrote was called Sissy's Winter War. And that one was it actually came from stories my dad told. He was a child during the Winter War between Finland and Russia in 1939. And I wanted to know what the women were doing. Like, what was my grandmother doing? What were my aunts doing? And it turns out the women were highly involved in the war efforts in Finland. They were called Lottasvards, a Swedish word actually, and sort of had lots of different roles. So I wrote about a woman who was a young woman who was a mother, or rather a sister, and she's determined to find out what happened to her father on the front lines, and she goes to the front lines. And then later in life, she's in Northern Ontario, and she gets early onset Alzheimer's. So it's really about memory and loss and love and family, all of those things, and inspired by the events of the time period, but really fictional characters that I've put into that space.
So you did you use AI at all to get back into that era to figure out what was really going on?
No, I wrote that book in I would say it was published in 2022, but I was writing it sort of in 2017, and that wasn't even on my radar, right? Like I wasn't even at all thinking about that. But I do a ton of research, and I love research. So I love to go into library. I love
Um,
to search the web. I love to order books in and just soak up everything I can. Unfortunately, some of the books I was looking for were in Finnish, but I was able to find some English translations. And there's quite a lot written about the Winter War between Finland and Russia. So that was really great in English, which so was great for me. And then when the book got published in 2022, I was so shocked because everywhere in the news was discussion about Ukraine. And, I had written this book way before that conflict had happened. And I was just, so now the world was actually talking about the Finnish Russian Winter War because there's so many parallels with the Ukraine. So it was just this kind of like, okay, here we go again. And we think we're going to learn from history, but I'm not sure that we do.
do you speak Finnish at all or read Finnish?
I read a little bit. I speak basic Finnish and I understand quite a lot when I hear conversations, but my vocabulary is so limited that I get lost fairly easily. And every year I think, oh, this is the year I'm going to take more Finnish lessons. And you know how it is.
Yeah. Have you been back to Finland a few times?
I have been. And one of the issues with going to Finland is everyone speaks beautiful English. So even when I try to practice, they're like, no, no, let's speak English to you because you don't know what you're talking about. It's a pretty hard language to learn. So I can get by like ordering something or asking directions. But for deep conversation, they're just, no, no, let's just go to English.
Yeah, you mentioned Alzheimer's early onset
Yeah.
a moment ago.
Mm.
And when I did my dad's eulogy, I labeled it like Tears in the Rain.
Oh,
It was
yes.
the end of a movie. I can't even think of the movie right now, but that was almost the last sentence spoken in the movie.
Beautiful.
And but truly, unless you capture some of those memories, they're gone.
They're gone.
They're
And
gone.
that was the situation with my father, who, when we were working on his book, his short term memory was not very good, but his long term memory was really amazing. And then we'd written the book and we'd put the book out. And then I was working on this other book about Alzheimer's, but he was suffering from Alzheimer's by then. And I was witnessing the strange things that was happening. I was both devastated by it, but also fascinated with the brain and how it works. There were times when we were in his hospital room and there were soldiers in the room. And there was a moment where there was a fire happening and he brought his feet closer to him, like off the bed, because he thought there was a fire happening right in front of him. So there was all these kinds of strange things. And so when I was writing Sissy's Winter War, I was really thinking back to the kinds of things my dad did that puzzled me and how he might have felt about it. So the woman I write about it's from her first person point of view. I was trying to really capture and get inside the mind of somebody who's going through that. And everyone's experiences is different. It's not that one example is true for everybody, but a lot of the examples I used of what happened to her, I observed from my father. So, I think there's a little bit of, when you're writing, you're also investigating what's happening with your own thought process and trying to deal with things and, process them. So even writing fiction is that.
How long did your dad have Alzheimer's?
Well, it's hard to say, right? Because you can have it for a very long time before the symptoms are noticeable. And I think both my parents and us as children, um, oh, just forgetful, just aging. Oh, that's just normal and natural until things started to get weird, like where it was very unusual behavior. That's when the red light went off, and he got tested and did that whole process. And then we realized, okay, we see the patterns here. And but he was very good at masking. Like when people came to his hospital room, he'd pretend like, "Hi, how are you?" Like having a conversation, and then they'd leave, and he'd ask my mother, "Who was that?" Right? So he didn't he knew to know them, but he didn't know them. And so it's really hard to say how long that, that he had that, but
Yeah, it's interesting as we look at aging. We get into our 60s and start noticing, probably even after that, but most people who make 70 will make 80. That's just a statistical aspect of it. But a lot of them don't, and so you never know. But then once you get to the 80s, things seem to change. You enter your 80s and boom, and then all of a sudden 82, 84, things start to happen. 86, my God, you're never going to make and it's interesting. My in-laws both made 87, 88. My mom was almost 90 and my dad was 84. And so there's, I'm almost 80, and my next birthday I'll be 80. So it's one of those, it's there. But again, as we're talking about memories, if you're not in a dementia pathway, there's a lot that can be captured if you just think about it.
yes.
Okay, what did you do in third grade? I have no idea who my teacher was. Where were you? Oh, well, okay, I was there. But if you dredge up those things, so you also help people with memoirs, is that right?
I do. Yes. And I always recommend folks who have a feeling that they want to write about their life. It's not necessarily that they're going to publish, but sometimes it's for themselves or for their family. But don't wait. Just start writing, like you say, writing memories down, jotting down ideas, just revisiting the past. There's something really beautiful about that. And then if they want to go ahead and actually write it as a memoir, that's where I guide them through that process and structure and how to capture memories, because we don't want to write about life from the time we were born till the end. We want to write about some really fascinating years in between. And so you might have several memoirs in you actually, but we're not writing an autobiography. And memoir is such a truthful, honest way of depicting your life and sharing with others. And really, it's also about the reader. The reader wants to know how your life can help them and how it can affect them and how they can see the world differently through your eyes. So it's a really powerful medium.
Yeah, I'm my first great grandson will be 2 here next month. And I keep telling myself I want to do a video, 10, 12-minute video. Okay, here was whatever part of my life, just so that's there available not only for him, but for the whole family.
Amazing.
But I also want to do my own memoir. But when I'm helping other authors with their books, I'm also a book coach and a publisher. And so I say, Lisa, tell me about the first car you ever had.
Right.
And if you give them questions to answer that they know the answers to, they can sit there and tell you all day long.
That's right.
And if you take there and then record that answer, now you have an interview question and answer that is spontaneous and really requires almost no editing.
Yeah.
And so when you go through that, I said, think of 20 questions. Well, I used to say 40, but and 30 kind of really maxes most people out. But for a memoir, 30 questions would not be an unusual one. But for some how-to book on whatever you want to talk about, nonfiction, 20, and I say pick the best 12, and those are your chapters. Now maybe 14 or 15. But then I say put the little bullets in there. What about that first car do you really remember? And then just put it in the order you want to talk about it. I have the list, you have the list. We sit there, and the two of us have a conversation. And it's recorded. And then little stories that go in there. I tell people about the first, I was going over the High Bridge in Corpus Christi, which is no longer there. They just took it down last month. And all of a sudden my car, loud noise, clumps, all sorts of things happen. And I come to a screeching halt, and I notice my tire passing me going down the side of the bridge. one of my tires came off the top of the bridge. I'm glad it was the top because I wouldn't have to go. Anyway, I went down the bridge on 3 wheels and a brake. Well, that's a story. That's a little thing that captures people's minds. And so when I'm working with authors, that's one of the things I want. Okay, just a facts, ma'am, that's fine. But those little vignettes are the things that are there.
Yeah, those are the things that make the story so powerful, right? All those little details, that the sensory details, the slowing down time so we can see that tire going down the road. That's the stuff that readers can identify with and feel like they're sitting there right with you and maybe remembering something that happened to them as well. Yeah, it's such a powerful way to tell a story, right? It's kind of going into the micro details a little bit more than just like, oh, this happened on this date and whatever, like you say, the fox. Not as interesting for readers.
Lisa, we're getting ready to go on a commercial break here very quickly. So I want to come back and we're going to continue down the road of you being an author. Let's go back into your first book or two and let's talk about the process that you used and what happened, how long it took. That's where I want to go after the commercial break. So just stand by and we'll be right back.
Listen, babe, now. 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 Listen, babe, now.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Hi, red.olaughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. My guest today is Liisa Kovala. Don't ask me why I have a problem, but Liisa Kovala. She is a Finnish-Canadian author, and please join me back up here on stage, Liisa.
Hi.
Okay, how long ago did you write your first book?
So we started working on it in 2012, and we self-published it in 2015, and then in 2017 it got picked up by a publisher, which was highly unusual. That is not what normally happens for self-published books, but that was lovely. And then the first historical novel, I was working on it while I was working on my father's book. And so I have a lot of overlapping projects. I always have several books on the go. It's just how my mind works, I guess. So then after that, I can say I don't really know how long a book takes to write because I'm between projects all the time.
Okay, but you've gone from an author to also being a book coach, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, some of the things you learned as an author, what is 2 or 3 things that really help you as a book coach?
Right. So one of the things authors often talk about is, and we often ask them, is whether they're a plotter or a pantser. And I've definitely tried all of the things. I've tried all the models. I've tried to be a pantser. I've tried to really plot out my novel. And now I know that there's sort of a happy medium between plotting and pantsing. It's really great to have an outline, know where you're headed, know how the book ends, kind of have these goal posts to kind of work towards, but let yourself deviate from those ideas and see what comes up. Your new, fresh ideas are going to come as you're writing the first draft, and let that happen. And then you can go back and fix things in another draft. So for me, I'm neither like a plot or a pantser. I don't think that you have to be solidly one or the other. I think there's a happy place in between for folks. And then I think another thing that we get a lot of advice about is, and I believe it, is read. So if you're writing like cozy mysteries, you need to read cozy mysteries, and a lot of them. Read good ones, not so good ones. See, styles you like. Think about what works, what doesn't work for you. And because there's sort of multi genres underneath that genre too, right? There's all kinds of things happening there. So reading is so essential. And we talked about this one already, which is, we really don't write books alone. Like we think of a writer sitting down at their desk or a computer and writing, and it's very solitary. But in fact, there's a lot of people involved. So you might have a book coach or a mentor or a writing partner or a writing group. You might have I hope that you have an editor. Like we need editors. They're amazing. They will transform your book because they just see things. So yeah, those are sort of my top 3 pieces of advice, right? A writing community is essential, I think, for writers.
One of the best pieces of advice I ever read came from Hemingway. And he says, never finish the end of the chapter that you're working on.
Oh, yes.
He says, always leave it, because if you finish it, you're done. Yeah. But if you leave the last couple of paragraphs, they're in your mind, things may happen. And when you come back to sit down, there's no writer's block. No. You know what you need to do to finish. But in the meantime, you think about how you want to transition to the next chapter. And that becomes a powerful tool in order to make that chapter end properly, to introduce the next one.
Yeah.
And I just thought that, don't write is a really good tip for writing.
Yeah, it's an excellent one. I use that myself. I often know at the end of like sort of stopping, I leave a couple bullet points for myself just to remind myself where I thought I was headed. And then when I pick it up again, I'm like, I know where we are. I know where we're headed. And yeah, that's excellent advice for writers, for sure.
Okay. Going back to your first 1 or 2 books, how did you market them compared to what you're marketing now for your books?
Yeah.
And then let's talk about how you help your coaching clients market their books.
Marketing is such a difficult topic for writers. A lot of us, me included, are fairly introverted. And, we don't want to sell anyone anything, and we don't want to feel like imposing on anyone. So we have to find ways to put ourselves out there. So luckily, I think being a teacher all those years helped me not be quite so introverted. I'm very capable of being in a big group of people and having a conversation. That's not a problem. But the promotion aspect, one of the pieces of advice I have read, and I took it to heart, was you're not selling, right? You're not going on social media to sell. You're going on social media to connect and to have a relationship with other people, whether it's other writers, possible readers, and they just want insight into your process or your life, or, I have to take pictures of my dog. And, you can make it much more pleasant and meaningful to you than constantly being out there saying like, buy my book, which nobody feels comfortable about. And nobody really responds to that anyway. So social media for me has been like, that was a turning point to see it in that way. And also, I'm trying to give other authors an opportunity too, through my women writing podcast and women writing features on Substack, so that I can feature people who are doing this work and help them promote themselves, because again, nobody wants to do that work, but we can help each other by creating a community like the platform you have here, right? We can talk about writing, and it's so fun and lovely to have these conversations, and it doesn't have to feel icky. So yeah, I think I've really turned my mind away from promoting in that kind of icky way to that making connections, and that feels good. Like I love to talk to readers. I love to talk to other authors. So that it can be fun.
Let's talk about covers for a minute. How do you get your covers designed?
So they've all been different, and it's been an education for me. So the first book I had done when it was self-published, I published it through Amazon, and they had a service to create covers. So I worked with somebody there, and I thought they did a lovely job. In fact, that's my mother's favorite cover still to this day, and it no longer exists. Then when it was published by the publisher, they took over the publishing, the cover design, and somebody created a cover, and they retitled the book to Surviving Studhof. And, that was a lovely cover. Book 2, actually, I love book 2's cover. Sisters Winter War is actually a Finnish artist that's in my hometown. I know her from growing up in high school, and it's fabric. It's a piece of art that's from her fabric, and you can see really closely. There's threads throughout it. There's different layering of fabric. So the original piece is stunning, and I really loved the idea of the twin pines here in the image. So that was a really unique piece. So my publisher commissioned her, or didn't commission her, but she gave us a bunch of different covers or artwork that we could choose from, and this is the one everyone loved the best. So that's how that one came about. For the most recent one, Sisters Winter War, I hired a designer, Mark Harris, and he got a copy of the book, and we talked about what I wanted to look like. I sent him a bunch of images from covers of books I loved, and he went ahead and made the cover, and I was thrilled. It's very northern. It's very atmospheric. My book is historical fiction, but with a murder mystery in it. It just hit all the right notes. So that was great. And then the cozy mysteries have been really fun too. The company is called, so if anyone hasn't come across them yet, I want to say Dr. Deranged Designs, which is a great name. But if you're doing genre fiction, they do fantasy and thriller and all kinds of things. And they came up with designs that I wanted a Nordic feel, because my cozy mystery series, it has a Nordic bent to it, and so they incorporated really beautiful Nordic design, and I'm just thrilled with them. They're beautiful in my opinion.
Your newest release is coming out when?
So Like Water for Weary Souls came out in October, and Hugin Homicide will come out in March. Midsummer Marriage and Murder will come out in April, and then Murder by Nordic Design will come out in September. So those 3 are all next year. I'm very excited about them. It's been a really fun project to work on these, and I'm hoping to write 3 more the following year, but I'm going to keep that under wraps for now.
Are you still doing independent publishing?
Yes, now with Like Water for Weary Souls is independent, and then now we have these 3 coming out that's independent too. So that's a whole other learning curve, right? But it's really fun.
How about hardcovers and audiobooks?
So I don't have any plans for hardcovers at this time. I'm considering that for Like Water. And audiobooks, I have started recording Like Water for Weary Souls, and that's been a fun process too, but it's very time consuming if anyone knows about that. I do have a audiobook for Surviving Studhof, and what I loved about that one is my son, who is an actor, his name is Jensen. He's the narrator. So it's my son being like the narrator for the words I wrote about my father, his grandfather.
Oh, wow.
And I went to listen to him in the studio while he was recording, and it just hit me. Tears coming down my face. It was just a lovely moment. I thought my father would be so proud of him.
Do you do any video marketing?
So I have done a few things on TikTok. But I haven't been very active there recently. I feel like you have to decide which platforms you want to focus on. And I felt like I had at one point all the platforms. This is too much. So I decided which ones do I like the best, which ones am I most comfortable on, where I can give my focus. So I really leaned into Instagram, and that goes straight to Facebook, as you probably know. And then I leaned into Substack, where I can have longer form posts and I can have the podcast. So the TikTok has been a little bit quiet, but the podcast goes onto YouTube. So that's been great. And I like that platform a lot. So it's hard to, do all the things. You have to kind of pick and choose, I think, and then maybe branch out when you feel like you have a little bit more time, which I'm not sure won't any of us have more time, but
Do you do any book signings or speaking engagements?
Absolutely. Yeah, those are kind of my favorite things. I just had a book launch for like Water for Weary Souls a month ago, and it was really well attended. And I love that. You really have a chance to talk to the audience about the book, and you have a chance to sign books, and it's just making that beautiful connection and celebrating the book, right? So I think I always recommend folks have a book launch, whether it's small or big, just to celebrate the success of the book. And yes, I go to bookstores and do signings, and I go to libraries and have author talks. And also in Canada, we have the Writers Union of Canada has these programs where you can go into schools, and that's also very fun. And book clubs. Book clubs are great. If you can get into a book club, it's a really intimate place to have a sit down with folks, and they've read your book, and you can have a chat, and they get asked really great questions, and often offer you nice treats. And it's great. It's great. So there's kind of ways to reach your audience at different levels, right? Very intimately in person, and then online to larger audiences. So it's worth exploring.
How, let me get my brain back together with it. What kind of clients do you accept in your coaching, and what categories do you prefer to help people with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I typically work with authors who are writing either literary fiction. I love historical fiction. I have somebody who's working on a mystery at the moment. I have a couple of memoir clients. And sometimes there's genre fiction as well. But there are some categories where I would tell them, I think I'm not the right person. Perhaps go see this other book coach who specializes in that. So it depends on the project. And what I usually do is just have a 30-minute call. We get to know each other, what their project is about, and see if we're a good fit, because that's important. You're going to work with this person for quite a long time. You want to feel comfortable with them. I want to enjoy their book. They want to, feel like I'm a good person and somebody they can trust. So that's the first part in the book coaching process, is just making that initial connection and having a conversation and go from there. So I work in a lot of different genres, but there are some genres where I would feel uncomfortable or that I didn't have enough expertise, and I'd send them elsewhere, I think.
How about editing? There's different kinds of books out there, from nonfiction to fiction to memoirs, etc. Do you have different editors that help your clients?
So I do developmental editing, and then I have a list of folks who, if they want to get different kinds of editing, like copy and proofreading and those kinds of things, there's sort of a little pile of names that I have that I can refer them to that next step, because it's good for the author to have another fresh set of eyes on the text. When I'm working with the client over years, like months and years, I'm really familiar with the work now, and I've seen many iterations of it. So having somebody who hasn't seen it to do that, line editing or copy editing is really a great thing. And they'll see things that we have been focused on, story and developing structure and all of those things. And now they can clean up some of the other things.
How do people buy your books? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can get in touch with me at lisakovala.com or lisabookcoach.com. Both of those go to the same website. I have everything on one place that people don't have to run around to all kinds of places. My books are, you can order them from any bookstore, but the easiest place is Amazon. And Liisa Kovala, and for the Cozy Mysteries, A.L. Jensen, which is my first name, Annalisa, and my last name, my husband's name, Jensen. So kind of stolen his name for the cozies.
Okay, for our audio audience, lisakovala.com. It's Liisa.
Yes, I spell it in the Finnish way.
Kovala.
That's right.
.com, or Liisa, Liisa, Kovala, Kovala, bookcoach.com. That's how you get in touch with Liisa.
Yes. And if I can add one more thing,
if
they subscribe to my Substack, they can get a free copy, a free download of the Sisu Writing Method, Ancient Finnish Wisdom for Modern Writers. So they can head over to Substack.
Okay. Liisa, thank you so very much. I really enjoyed our time today. And if nobody's told you recently, you have a great smile.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you. This was so lovely. I really enjoyed it.
Well, have a wonderful Christmas holiday and enjoy your life. And I hope to see you back again next year. I would love to continue our conversation.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Bye now, Liisa. We're getting ready to wrap up the Corner Bookstore. My guest today, Liisa Kovala, and my next show is The Wise Ones, and it starts in about 25 minutes. My guest today is Susan Shanklin. I think she's an editor. No, she's a publisher in LA. She has her own press company out there. So please enjoy your holiday, and we will catch you next week. red.olaughlin signing off for the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Bye now.
In a noisy world, true connection begins with listening. Elevated listening transforms every conversation in just 5 simple steps. Pause and breathe. Set your intention. Listen with curiosity. Reflect back. Agree on one next step. Join the Listening Mentor on Let's Finally Talk with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, where we help you find inner peace, one conversation at a time. Streaming every day. Let's Finally Talk TV show with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, only here on USA Global TV and Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channels to watch and engage with all our content.
Nestled in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Horseshoe Farm has always been more than a destination. It's a living, breathing reflection of community, connection, and transformation. Once a humble family farmstead, it has evolved over the years to become a sanctuary for travelers, seekers, families, and friends alike. Originally reimagined by the Turchin family as an Airbnb property, the farm began its journey into hospitality with simple roots, welcoming guests to experience the beauty and peace of the sacred land. As word spread and the vision deepened, the property organically blossomed into a boutique resort, rooted in the values of slow living, intentional experiences, and the magic of gathering. Today, the Horseshoe Farm is a 90-acre experiential retreat that merges hospitality, wellness, and culinary excellence. It is home to the Stable Spa, the Silo Cookhouse, distinctive lodging options, and a curated calendar of events that nourish mind, body, and spirit. Our guest experience is designed to be both grounding and expansive, where the comforts of luxury meet with the simplicity of nature. At its core, the Horseshoe Farm is about transformation of land, of self, and of community. We are proud of where we've come from. We are confident in who we are today and excited for the road ahead. Hello, I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, also known as the Listening Mentor and president and founder of USA Global TV and Radio. I had the opportunity, the pleasure of attending a retreat at the Horseshoe Farm just recently. I was so impressed with all of the opportunities that were presented to me in this glorious setting, as well as the highest level of customer service, that I've decided to put together a retreat at the Horseshoe Farm in Hendersonville, North Carolina, United States of America, June 3rd through the 6th, 2026. You can expect to have a beautiful time of relaxation combined with learning, community, collaboration. Do consider joining me in this wonderful opportunity to reconnect with yourself, with others, and with nature. For more information, email me at drjacqueline@usaglobaltv.com.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.